This episode is brought to you by the White Wave Wellness. Choose to live a healthy and fulfilling life. Wellness is more than being free from illness. It is a process of change and growth towards a mentally and physically healthy lifestyle. Reach out to Jennifer Hale to learn more about how this water can change your life. This episode is sponsored by Western Janitor Supply. They have cleaning supplies and equipment for any workplace. Call today at 805-238-2112. They provide an extensive line of chemicals, paper products, and floor equipment. Again, that's Western Janitor Supply, located in downtown Paso Robles. This episode is sponsored by Santos Bros Plumbing. Are you in need of a dependable and effective plumber you can trust? Look no further than Santos Bros Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers in Paso Robles, California. Call them now at 805-360-4679. That's Santos Bros Plumbing. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Quick transparency, this is my fifth take on trying to make this possible. This ad before the video that you are wanting to watch right now, so I won't take up too much of your time. I just wanted to express how I made this all possible. I created the Paso Robles podcast studio for people to be able to use as an outlet, as a platform. This show became possible because I found the need to put myself in the hot seat and have those conversations with people and promote them as well. So if you guys ever find yourselves in a need to start a podcast, I'm here to consult. I'm here to produce. Feel free to reach out, easyfmedia@gmail.com, or find me on social media anywhere pretty much. So I hope you guys enjoy the show. I don't want to keep rambling on too much. Thank you guys for watching. Let's see. So we're in the Paso Robles podcast.
Okay. Paso Robles.
Today we have Steven Ching and Bettina.
Bettina's my grandmother,
oh,
so
really?
close.
Bettina.
Yeah,
okay.
my name was actually from her name.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Calling the ancestors.
Calling the ancestors. That's awesome. Yeah, it's so quick reference on how I found you and stuff. I saw an article. I think it was Paso Robles Daily News or something. Right?
Okay.
And I was like, oh, cool, like local. Like I'm trying to promote local and trying to do do a service here by also putting myself out there too, right?
100%, yeah.
And I found you did and I watched it.
Oh.
Very anxiety driven, right? So just for the audience value, I'll let you introduce yourself and you can introduce each other or however you want, and then just tell me a little bit of background.
For sure. I'm Steven Ching. I am a filmmaker. I've been doing short films and movies since I was about 5 years old, I think. I'd run around with a family camcorder and make my little movies and then just watch it on TV, being the only viewer. I try to show my family, but they always tell me it just gets dizzying after watching the camera sway around so much.
Oh yeah.
So I went through film school and everything, and all those years later, people can actually watch my movies now, so without getting dizzy. But
it's not like Cloverfield.
Yeah. Everything's handheld 24/7. But no, I'm also visually impaired and blind in my right eye, and I've always really had this passion for storytelling and filmmaking. And for the longest time, I really couldn't figure out a story that I could tell authentically or genuinely, and I had a hard time thinking of stories that also appeal to people. And I've worked on movies, I've worked on feature films, I've worked on music videos, I've done pretty much the whole gamut of things.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually done podcasts.
Okay.
But when the thing that hit me was, after about 10 years of doing this and working on other people's projects, you pour, as a creative, you pour a lot of your heart and, a lot of your energy into these projects. And a lot of times the projects I work on, I don't really believe in. I don't really think that there's value there. There's that, or that it was executed to the way that it could have been. Mm-hmm. And so late last year, I was working on this movie set. And are you familiar with Walter Jr. or Breaking Bad?
Walter Jr.?
Yeah.
The character?
Yeah. So actually got to work with that actor on set. Yeah. His name is RJ Mitty, and I just went up to him. I was like, hey, man, as a person with disability, is there anything you could advise to me so that I can do more in this field of filmmaking. Because honestly, it's a struggle. Like if you don't know anyone in the industry, it's hard to get work. And most of my work was coming from my buddy who was taking me along on these films. So, and this was also the same time that I decided that I just got to be vulnerable with myself and be honest with myself, because I was faking it till I made it. And I was making it somewhere, but a lot of it was faking it. So I kind of like took a step back and said, okay, let me just be honest with myself and let me be honest with the people I'm around. And that's when I opened up to him and asked him. And he recommended this disability film challenge from the Easter Seals. So it's called the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. And yeah, he told me about it, and I talked to Bettina about it, and I told her, like, hey, yeah, I'm really excited. You know, like, RJ Mitty just told me about the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, and I don't know if I should do it, but, you know, like, it's something, though. It's a lead more into this industry. And I talked to Bettina about it, and she told me, yeah, go for it. And I said, okay. So early January, I registered for it. And then up until April 1st, through April 6th at 6 p.m., that was the whole entire time we had to actually create the project, from writing it, shooting it, editing it, scoring it, and then delivering it at 6 p.m.
Was that one of the requirements?
Yes, that's the film challenge. Like they only give us, well, I think it was mid-January or early February where they released the genre, which is suspense thriller, and they only gave us, well, that's always been the premise of the 5-day film challenge of Easter Seal, is to finalize the script, shoot, edit, score, and submit, and the actual uploading, and all just in 5 days from April 1st to April 6th.
And what did he tell you why it's such a specific time frame?
Yeah, it's well, I mean, this is kind of like a nature of the film challenges. Like in the film, community, there are these things. There's actually even 48-hour film challenges where you do everything in 48 hours.
It's crazy. Yeah. Like even for us, like the 5-day film challenge was probably the most challenging thing I've ever done, because like we all have regular day jobs that we have to go to. And so we basically had like, because like it started on a Tuesday. However, they released the final mechanics at 11 a.m. And we are all at work. So
lunch break, it's like, okay, check what it is and like what's all the official details. And like, okay, cool. All right, cool. Cool. Write this in.
And funny enough, Steven had to leave to go to LA that same day when they got released, because he had a shoot on the 2nd for a different project in LA, and he had to leave like night of April 1st.
Yep.
Then he arrived back to Atascadero night of April 2nd.
Right after the shoot. Yeah.
Right after the shoot.
Straight back, and and on the drive back, my buddy Aaron, who was also our assistant camera on the shoot on the film, he was driving. I was just like on the laptop finalizing all the details and the script and everything while communicating with Bettina.
Yeah, because like our team from different parts of California, we have our very talented director of photography, Sean Aris, driving from San Francisco, and he had a whole grip van, and we call it the kidnap van because like a kidnap mobile, because
it's not
like
the newer cool ones, it's the older school ones.
The older school one,
the metal sliding doors.
Yes, no windows, and
That's
it's
funny.
all filled with gear. And he was arriving April 2nd, and we were just all coordinating the movement with everything, because we have a small 2-bedroom apartment, and we were expecting 6 people to stay over.
Seven
Eventually. But yeah, so I guess let me introduce myself first too.
Oh yeah.
So I'm Bettina Ching. I'm the director of the film. I've also co-written the film with Steven, and I also played Steven's wife on the film and in real life. So my background really is in marketing. So I've done marketing for over 10 years, but I've always had this fascination for film. And not until I moved here in California 3 years ago to marry my now talented actor slash writer slash filmmaker husband. Not until then I really ventured into exploring that side of myself. And I've been telling my friends, like, directing this film has been the most challenging thing I've ever done. But it gave me this different, I would say, creative fulfillment, because in marketing, we always plan things in our head and we just pass it off to other people to execute it for us. We'll lay it out in a plan, then pass it off to someone to shoot it, pass it off to someone to edit it, and put it out in the world. And like directing this film give me a different sense of director or like creative fulfillment, because I have experienced and witnessed how it came from our brains. We came up of this like idea and story when we were driving from Sacramento to here, and how we were like, I didn't sleep for over 24 hours until we've submitted this film, just to like see it in real life, and how it has been affecting other people and touching lives and hearts from across the globe.
Yeah. So, would you say having this timeline actually inspired it even more? Like the anxiety, the stress, the pressure? Because I feel like from when I was in high school, I was terrible at doing homework. But some of my best work was very last minute.
Yes.
Like so what would you guys feel like? Talk to me about more of the feeling of what it was like to feel that pressure.
For sure. And just to add to that pressure too, the nature of this film challenge only allows volunteers. So we were not allowed to pay anyone in the film, or any of our crew, our cast, our locations. So that just added to the pressure for sure.
And the thing is, like, you know, when someone says, okay, this is all I can provide you, you know, I really have to catch sleep, you can't say no, you know, like they're volunteering their time, and you have to be grateful for whatever they can volunteer. But I mean, surprisingly, everyone really pushed through way more than I would have expected.
Yeah, we definitely helped that our crew was like, we told them like, hey, thank you so much, because it really felt like we were paying them $1 million.
Yeah.
The amount of heart, grit, sweat, and even blood that they've put into this film really just made this film incredible. And every single one of our crew, our cast, and everyone that helped really has a piece of their heart in this film for sure. And yeah, that added to the pressure for us as the lead of the film, to make sure that we have like a really good product that everyone can be proud of.
Yeah, I even remember our assistant director, it was like 3 a.m. on day 2 of the shoot out of 3 days. And, you know, it was just like 4 or 5 of us like breaking down the whole entire studio.
We were here in Paso Robles in Daniels Woodland.
At Daniels Woodland. Thank you, Daniels Woodland, for, you know, offering us your location. But as we were breaking it down, like we originally had like way more people helping us set it up. Now it's just us breaking it down because everyone else, you know, was tired of recently. And our assistant director was like, whew, they don't call it a film challenge for nothing. Yeah.
So with the film challenge, what are we gaining from this aside from like the experience and the stress? What's the goal here for the challenge? What do you get if you win?
Well, I mean, honestly, the prize, there is a prize. There's a tangible prize there. But for me, my biggest motivation of doing the film challenge is one, the cause. The Easter Seals Foundation does a lot of amazing work for people with disabilities. They offer support, and you know, with the film challenge, the main goal is to change the way the world views disabilities. And I really, really strongly resonate with that message. And that's why we implement that, like, you know, foundationally within our script, like throughout the script, with every single line, every single action cut shot is deliberate to push that message forward. But there is a cash prize. This year, their cash prize was about like, I think $2,000 cash prize, and $5,000 for seed money. And they also offer mentorship opportunities for, you know, people who are part of the Easter Seals Film Challenge. So, you know, honestly, the cash prize, I think it's great. But if, you know, well, as Bettina likes to say, when we win.
When we win, we're manifesting it to the world.
But when we win, our biggest goal is really just to take our crew out to go eat and, you know, have a nice meal together, because they really, really, really put in so much heart into this than we could have ever asked for.
Yeah. Can you explain to the audience a little bit more about the movie? What's it about? I guess a synopsis, so to speak.
Yeah. Should I take that?
Yeah, go for it.
So 2080 essentially is a short film that originates from my personal experiences with visual impairment and disability. And the goal was to make it to this year's genre is thriller suspense. And I've never really done something on a serious scale with thriller suspense. So the challenge was really how do we create a story that's suspenseful and thrilling? And, you know, I kind of bounced these ideas around with Bettina, and I bounced these ideas with my editor, Jacob. And, you know, we really came down to this point where, as Bettina was saying, we were driving from Sacramento and we were just bouncing ideas back and forth between us. And we were like, okay, what if we pull inspiration from like our favorite movies? Or thrillers, suspense, like, you know, shows. And so what we have? We have Squid Games.
We have Squid Games. We have Saw. Get Out, Saw.
Saw was like a big one for me. I was like, oh, that's like the biggest thriller I know. Get Out, and I'd say Leaving Everywhere, everything everywhere
all at once. I feel like that
well
came in like a little bit later when we were piecing everything together.
So we pulled inspiration from there, and you know, my editor Jacob brought up a good point. It's like, you know, suspense thriller movies, you need high stakes that keep getting higher and higher. I was like, okay, for me, what are the highest stakes that I can, you know, that I could lose? And for me, and this is where it took me to be really honest and vulnerable. And I think that's what really pushed the story so far ahead, is that I was vulnerable, and I said, okay, there was a time in my life where, you know, I was going back and forth to these doctor's appointments with my mom, and all the news was just disappointing news. You know, it's just never good news. It's always, oh, you know, the best news that they can tell you is, okay, your vision's stabilizing, but they're not going to tell you, okay, it's getting better, it's improving, you know. So there's a time in my life where I thought about too, where, you know, honestly, and trigger warning for anyone there, but I thought to myself, like, if my vision goes away completely, that means I'm going to be more dependent on people than I am now. And if that's the case, you know, do I want to keep living like that? And, you know, that's where the inspiration comes from. So the highest stakes that I could ever imagine is, you know, one, losing your family, right? So within these trials, I lost like my best friend, Simon, who, you know, represents my social circles of all my friends and all the people who've been there for me. And then also next trial is like losing your parents. Your mom and dad, who spent their whole life to provide everything for you. And then the last one, the ultimate like trial is at stakes, is my wife. And my wife is like the biggest supporter I've ever had in my life. And she's the one who's really inspired me to keep pushing for these goals and dreams and to even get to where we are now. So, yeah. So within the movie, my character, who I play as myself, goes through these three trials. We start off running, and we go, and then all of a sudden I get captured by a captor named Nevitz. And he puts me through a series of 3 time trials that are 20 seconds each. And each one of these trials is easy, as he would say. However, it's easy for almost anyone else with normal vision. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, though. We try to hold off the catch all the way until the end, or the reveal. And I fail every single mission, essentially. And then at the very end of it, we go through a flashback sequence of events, and it shows. And, whether or not the audience understands it, they understand the emotions behind it. But the goal was to show that each one of these trials relate to each one of these flashback shots. And then there's a final reveal at the end of the movie with some key messaging. And, we kind of try to tack this also with mental health in mind, because there's a statistic out there from the CDC that people with disabilities, or adults with disabilities, are 5 times more likely to deal with mental distress. And we also reached out to the emergency hotline. We got the number for 988. So if anyone's dealing with any emotional distress, please reach out. So that's essentially the whole entire movie.
Yeah, that's the whole entire movie for sure.
Yeah. So are you thinking of so going beyond the challenge, going beyond. I've always seen, because I've worked at the movie theater,
Yeah.
so I've dealt with like film festivals and stuff like that, and even I've seen concepts like they're like 10, 15 minute long shows or movies, and then they're campaigning to make it an actual big movie, like full like feature length film. Are you wanting to do more with that now that you have it, like now that it's manifested as a project?
Right. Well, actually, we were just talking about this too. Where are we going from here? Because I feel like with this project, we were able to prove that, we have the capability, we have the skills, knowledge, and also sensibilities to create a really, really strong and impactful film.
Yeah, and the talent too.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. The talent
from all of our crew, we have amazing. We were just really blessed with a full crew, basically, from our director of photography, Sean Harris, assistant director, Colette Whip, and from people locally and those who traveled from north of California just to be here in the Central Coast, and even talents internationally. We have our composer / scorer, Polo Miguel de la Cruz, who's a Filipino talent working or who's currently based in Thailand, who only had 1 hour to put in all and finalize all of our score and our mastering of the music and the sound effects placement.
Yeah.
Before we have I think we only had 15 minutes to upload it.
Yeah.
Export and then upload it. So we really made use of every single second that the challenge gave us to really complete it and make sure that we have something to be proud of. And for visuals, we have an amazing graphic artist in the Philippines, where I'm from, where we're from, and and he just whipped out this amazing poster with their logos and the visuals that we have in just probably 30 minutes. Because I've called him on our last day of shoot because we were thinking of attacking the poster ourselves, but looking at the challenge itself, that we have delays from day 1 until day 3.
As these film challenges usually have.
We were just truthful to ourselves and said hey, we actually need the help. So I called my buddy in the Philippines, and luckily he was awake at that time, and asked him hey, Kevin, I need a huge favor. Can you make us a poster? But the thing is, we can't pay you. And
hey,
also,
can you do something for free?
Yeah.
It's a good proposition, right?
And you only have the challenge in the movie, the trials in the movie, you only have this amount of time to do it. But yeah, as Steven said, this is our proof of concept. I'm not sure if Steven mentioned it early on in this podcast, that this is our first film together. This is the first film that he actually led and created himself with, of course, the team.
At least ever since I was 5. I think this is the biggest.
This is the biggest?
Since,
Yes. That he has led.
Actual production.
Yeah, because you're always just being part of and helping other creatives to put their vision into life. So we're really this movie, this short film, and the Easter Seals Film Challenge really put a fire up our behind to maximize our creative juices. And the fact that we have an amazing group, amazing crew to back us up, and especially for a volunteer project and create an amazing film like this, creating a feature or a full length of this film is, of course, within our reach. And we're hoping that this film challenge to inspires other creatives to just, because as Steven has been telling his friend, if you want to make a movie, make a movie.
Make a movie. No.
Yeah, I feel like one of the important things that motivated me too is that I think as creatives, we always get stuck in this thought that, I need to be just a little bit better. I need to just get that little bit extra gear just to start. I just need to, there's always that little bit of extra something that you need before you start, because you want to be perfect. And, admittedly, I fell victim to that also. And, but up until late last year, like I said, okay, you know what? I just have to start. I just have to go out there and throw something down. And, and we can always improve from there. So, for any creatives out there, I really say, definitely don't wait to be perfect. Just jump in with what you got and just get better.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm trying to use LinkedIn more.
Yeah.
And I'm posting those kind of things.
Yeah.
Like I posted a list of things you need to start a podcast show, video podcast, and literally a cell phone and a couple platforms, and that's it.
And
like
you have that. Right?
You have that. You have that in your pocket. It's like the best time to start is like yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And the second best time is today. Like,
Yes.
I'm trying to use all those I
love that.
And it's as you guys are talking about all the stuff that's going on, I can't help but think back of what else you can do for the film. And it's I don't know if you take any B-roll for doing a documentary style of it and talking to every single staff or person that was on board, what their anxiety felt like, or what that kind of to connect it further into the movie.
Yeah, actually, we had a whole entire behind the scenes video project planned out too. We have our behind the scenes video shooter on the day of, Alyssa Wimberly, and she was filming all these behind the scenes content, and I asked her please help me do two things. I want one set of videos designed for social media, so something silly and goofy. And she had a list ready to go. And then also on top of that, I was I also want to get horizontal behind the scenes video because I want to do a retrospective video later and interview those commentary cuts with the crew, just to kind of watch it and talk about what they've gone through and their experiences, because there are a lot of crazy nuances for every department.
Definitely. We have the time limitation, and also of course we, as I mentioned earlier, we all have different day jobs and that we have to balance too, and family life as well. And some of us had some schedule conflicts as well, so we didn't really get our full cast all throughout the 3 days. But it's really interesting because we've heard this comment from one of our crew's grandparents, it took you 5 days to create a 5-minute movie. Yeah. But then when for me, I've worked in marketing, I've only been into film sets. This was actually my first film set. I've only been into or worked with sets that are based in, or when we're making commercials, basically. So for me, having this first time to create a 5-minute movie, and I'm such a big planner, I've planned as much as I can, and with every single details, with backups and whatnot. There's this one moment really, especially on our second day of shoot, where we shot our biggest scene, which was the interrogation scene, where I just looked at our director of photography, Sean Ayres, and I looked at him and said, "Sean, I need help because my plan is not working. I don't know how I can move on. Our actors are tired. It was 2 a.m. and it was the biggest moment of the film. So so he told me okay, here's what we can do. Okay, how about we do this? Yes, that's what I mean. Okay, align, let's go, let's attack it. And everyone was just putting their heart into the film, and I can never be more grateful with the crew that we have, because this is my first film that I've ever directed, but I really felt the respect, the love that everybody has for each other, and the fact that some of them are meeting for the first time in that crew, because we have, as I mentioned before, we have crew coming from San Francisco. Sean Ayres, our director of photography, Max Schmidt, our grapher, and our caterer, who fed all of our crew with
Simon Deo, who also doubled as the role in the movie.
Yeah, he's the friend that Steven, watch it and you'll find out.
But she's not going to give herself the credit, but I do really think that Bettina did a crazy good job as a first-time director, and better than some directors I've actually worked with on set who've had experience in the industry. And, I feel like the respect that emanates from the crew really comes from that trust in the vision. She really had a grasp on the vision that she wants to really pull out in terms of story and everything. because she had that strong grasp on it, I think we all were easily like, able to just trust it and go along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
One of the things I want to just give value to the audience is, how do you guys define disability? And here in Paso Robles, it's like, when you see, when I see disability, it's a lot more like physical. It's very, very clear that there's something going on, but I know it's more than that. So just to bring value to the audience, like what do you guys consider disability, and what do you guys consider to be like one of those, like, look out for it a little bit more, just to make sure you're understanding and.
Well, honestly, first of all, I can't really say that I'm any authority figure to speak on what all disabilities are, but I can say that, as a person with disability, I can tell you that, and speaking to other people with disabilities, it's not always something you can see. It's not always something that, you can just pick up. There's no certain look to disability. There's no sound of disability. But I think just a general approach is just to always approach anyone you meet in general with empathy. And I think that's the way I live. That's the way I live my life. It's, you don't know what someone's going through. You don't know if they have schizophrenia. You don't know if they have anxiety. So if someone looking on like they're acting crazy in the streets, there's always that potential. You can keep in the back of your head. It's like, okay, maybe they're going through something. Maybe they're going through a lot of life stresses, or maybe they have schizophrenia. I mean, I work at the state hospital, so schizophrenia is like a really common mental health issue that people deal with, and that's a chemical imbalance in the head, and and it's something that must be treated, and someone needs help and support with. But for physical disabilities, visual impairment, people have a lot of mental health issues. Like severe anxiety. Like I said, I can't define what it is, but the thing is, like, the best way to approach it is just, you don't have to know what someone's going through. You don't have to know what they have, but just being empathetic and being considerate and, being as kind as you can on a daily basis is all that you really need to make the world a better place.
Yeah, and just to add to what Steven has said, like our film that we made mainly tackled about what's going on inside of the head, which is like, even for like for me who doesn't have disability, battles through. And the research that we found that people with disability are 5 times more likely to report these mental distress. For us, like, yeah, Steven mentioned, we just want to inspire people to extend grace and empathy to everyone, not just people with disability, but to everyone that is living in this world, basically, because we have our own unseen battles that we're going through. And some people might be fortunate enough to not have these, but we can never know what's going on with a person's, I would say, mental battles. And the film just wants to inspire everyone to extend grace and empathy with everyone that they're encountering with people. Because, like, even as Steven mentioned, sometimes people with disability cannot be identified through sight, hearing, it might be silly, but smell. But yeah, it's just to extend grace and empathy with everyone that you encounter.
Yeah, I agree. I think approaching everybody with empathy, because you never know what anybody's going through. It's just one of those things where, like, going through life, and you somebody can be. I mean, Robin Williams is a good example of what happened there. Like, he's the happiest guy. He's always joking around, and like, and those are since then I've been like, oh, that's one of the people I got to look out for even more, right?
Yeah.
The guy from Linkin Park also,
yeah.
like all these greats, and it makes you wonder, like, who is really going out there, because they're on the spotlight. So obviously they're either one, being highlighted, or two,
putting their best foot
repressing
forward.
it. Yeah. They're pushing it down further and further, because they have to show something
100%,
that people want to see, and nobody really stood around. Even I mean, I don't know how I can compare this, but Chadwick Boseman, the guy who played Black Panther,
Yes,
like, he was diagnosed with a disease that eventually took his life, and even leading up to that, he was being interviewed, and he just kept going. He didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew. And I mean, I'm sure a few people knew, but it's just one of those things like, okay, when you see that little thing or that you get that weird gut feeling, there's something off, take that extra second and just be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah. You doing all right? You know, like I spot check all my friends all the time. Like if I sense anything like, hey, you know, I'll take a second, like it's like whole second with, you know, I'll look at them like, hey, you know, you all right? What's going on? You know, like, yeah, you can talk to me.
No.
And, you know, and whenever someone does it, like, you know, open up to you, it's really important that you do it, you answer with no judgment.
Yeah.
You accept what's going on. You don't offer advice unless they ask for it.
Don't take offense.
Don't take offense. They're going to say, hey, you know, what you did really actually hurt me. And instead of like that instant reaction, you want to, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. No, don't be defensive. Just take it a second. Like, okay, I hear you. Can you tell me more about it? Ask questions, you know, and that really helps people deal with anything. Yeah.
And ask how can you help? Like for us, like Steven and I try, like we always try to practice this with each other, like because like we're always together. We do basically everything together, even this film, even this podcast.
Well.
So for us, like, you know, in our household, like we fight. We do like
So we argue.
But when we argue and when we have disagreements, we always take a second to pause, calm down, talk to each other. And like the funny thing is when we argue, we don't scream at each other. Funny thing, like our voice, like
It goes to whisper.
it goes to whisper when we.
Why did you do that?
Like
I don't know.
it hurts me. Like I don't like when you did that.
I'm really sorry.
But yeah, and that's like what we practice with our relationship, and that's what we try to practice with any relationship that we have.
Yeah. Are there any is there any piece of advice for people who are who have disabilities that you want to share that you wish could have been shared to you?
Ooh. Thank Miguel just hit me with that. Like, ooh. Okay, well, if I could probably even take that a step further, and you know, if I were talking to my younger self with a disability, and you know, and that could apply to anyone out there, it's that you know, don't feel like being different is a bad thing, because being different actually might be what makes you stronger and what makes you able to connect more. And you know, you never know. But you could also be, I don't want to say an inspiration because, you know, people with disabilities hate hearing that. It's like, oh, you're so inspiring. But, you know, you never really know who you can impact. And you have a lot of power regardless of what situation you're in.
That's good, man. That's good. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be very grateful that you shared that with them. So I want to go back to the film. I'm being selfish here.
No,
like, I don't care if people are learning anything right now.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like you guys did something and I'm thinking of ways to promote you guys or how you guys like
thanks,
let's say you guys came in here, sat down, I put the movie on here and you do like the full recording or the full movie, but what's it called? Director's cut.
Directors are like
That's what I wanted to do. Actually.
do that?
That's what I was talking to you too about.
Yeah.
I wanted like one of the things I wanted to do is like film like my crew just like talking about their experience on set, because Bettina actually like one of the fun stories that I love is like we were editing like after shooting day 3, right? The second half at like around 6 p.m. roughly, let's say, we go home. Like our editor was already at our house. Actually, let's go back. Our editor was on set with us on day 2, and he was editing from that night all the way to like 2, 3 a.m. Then he picked up at 10 a.m. at our house and worked essentially all the way up till 4 a.m. And we just got back at 6 p.m. that day. So like midway through, and then he's still going through. And then he was like, okay, sorry guys, I've done as much as I could. Like I have to go. I like, you know, I need some rest. And Bettina jumps in without any sleep yet. Like the sleep she had before that was probably like 3 hours roughly.
4 hours.
4 hours.
I thought that was plenty.
Nope, because he's like, and Bettina's like, hey, go ahead, you rest. And I'm there standing like a zombie next to her. I'm like, I don't know what I can do to help right now. Like, I feel so useless. My brain is dead because I just gave like the biggest performance I could. Like, you know,
and he was just like on my side, over there asking me and bugging me like, babe, what can I do? And he started feeling bad for me, and I'm feeling bad for him because he just started like curling into a ball onto my side, and like
I was laying on the ground.
Yeah, I was like,
I can't leave you alone. That's messed up. But she was like, no, go rest. And I go. I sent the last few messages to Polo, our score artist, on his latest cut, and I was like, okay, can you make these changes? This is the emotions that we're kind of going for, and I just blacked out, went to sleep. And then Bettina carried that edit from pretty much 4 a.m. till about 10 a.m. to get that scene done. And she woke me up and said, hey, can you check this out? And she's like 25 hours of no sleep at this point, essentially. And then we watched it, and then our editor, Jacob, woke up and he sees it. And he, first thing he's like, I'm not going to lie, I do not like it. That's not what I was thinking. But, if that's your creative vision, I respect it, and we're going to move forward with it. And Bettina passes off the edit back to Jacob. So as soon as he wakes up, he's back to editing.
Oh my goodness.
And I was just laying on the side. We have a couch beside our computer, and I've been I'm trying my best to sleep and rest so that before the time comes and once Jacob is done with his edit, we're able to review it and make sure the audio is good and the Polo is ready to score it. But then my brain can't just stop working.
Yeah.
I was just there trying to get some sleep, any amount of sleep, and I was just yelling orders to Steven like, babe, make sure you check the rules. Babe, can you contact Jordan and make sure that he's still on board? Can you contact Polo that we're a few minutes away till picture lock? And I was just say, and make sure we have lunch for everyone. I was just it's just not stopped working.
And then Bettina knocks out. Our assistant director, Colette Whip, just drives through Taco Bell. She's like, hey, I'm at Taco Bell. You guys need any food? And I was like, at first, no. And she's like, you sure? And I was like, okay, let me ask. And she picked up lunch for all of us while Bettina's knocked out, to help us come in and start writing the copy for the movie, like the synopsis, the log line, the tagline, everything, all in 30 minutes. And then also at the same time, I'm here trying to fill out all the festival information, because I'm the producer. I'm trying to fill out all the information, make sure it's all ready to get sent out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy all the way till the end.
Yes. And to talk about the movie, going back, if we're gonna do the director's cut, so the movie starts with Steven running in the dark, and
oh yeah.
And I'm sorry for bouncing.
That's okay.
It's an amazing experience that we just want to share with everyone. But just to go back to your question, it started with Steven running in the dark. That was, I think, at 8 p.m. We started shooting at 8 p.m. in Montaña de Oro, and our hard out is 10 p.m.
Yeah, the permit I secured. It was the first time I secured a permit, and I wanted to do it legit. And the permit, it says we have to be out by 10 p.m.
Yeah, and so it started with Steven running, and everyone's tired. We came from our job, and we didn't expect that the hike that we had to do for it is pretty strange, especially and considering that it was our scaled down equipment, so we only brought the essentials. But thankfully, we have 3 wagons, and it took us 4 back and forth trips to haul every single one, and yeah, so it started with that. It was nighttime. Our gaffer, Max Schmidt, really did a good job to emulate moonlight because moonlight was above us. But then we want to not reveal Steven's right eye, where it's pretty obvious that he has a visual impairment. And try to cover that with shadow, but by blasting moonlight on the other side. And that's where we first that's where we first get introduced to this mysterious creature or mysterious figure we call Nevitz, and we really want a snappy what do you call this transition that would just give that jump scare to the audience, just to break the ice from running, because and stopping, and the flashing light over there before Nevitz appear comes from the idea of Steven's optometry test.
Yeah, Yeah, because like one of the things that they'll do, well, it's not the optometrist, it's the ophthalmologist.
Ophthalmologist.
And my doctor's actually out here in Paso Robles also, so shout out to my ophthalmologists. But they'll take this thing, and I hated this growing up because like it's necessary, but for them to like see into my retina. But at the same time, I hated it because what they do is they take this magnifying glass and this really, really bright like flashlight and shine it in your eye, and you have to keep your eye open at the same time. And it's like, and essentially we wanted to emulate that concept within like several scenes of the movie. One where at the final scene where I have my hand in front of me, it's kind of like a thumbnail right now for the film.
But the first one is really to emulate that we're going into that mental process that Steven has, where of course when he goes to the doctor and have all these questions or like these thoughts that he's trying to not entertain.
Yeah.
So that takes us to a snap jump cut to the warehouse, which is our interrogation scene. So Steven gets presented with his first trial. If you didn't notice, his first line actually in that interrogation scene is, "Why am I here?" And it's just him asking, like, why am I thinking about this? Why is this in my head? But then Nevis just jumped into like, so it's easy. But the bad news is this. So we get this pleasure of seeing him going through trial 1, which Nevitz hands him a gun. Of course, we want to start with the literal bang with the first trial. No pun intended over there. But so he's presented with the gun. And that trial comes from the idea that Steven and I experience when we're out in the public. So, like, Steven is...
No guns, actually.
No guns. No guns in the public. No guns.
Metaphor.
Metaphor. So we're out in the public, and when, for example, we're out doing grocery or we're just shopping or in a park or in a festival here locally, and Steven's coworkers would like say hi to him. "Hey, Steven, how's it going?" And I'm on his side waiting for him to introduce me. But then Steven is having a hard time putting a name to the face. And I think
so for me, it's like, the best way with my visual impairment, like the best way I can describe you, if you're like 10 feet away, I'm not looking at your face. I'm looking at your body shape. I'm here listening to the sound of your voice. I'm watching like the shape and the way you're moving. And that's kind of like the best way I can identify it. And also, I just have a really bad time remembering names also.
Yes.
So like, it's already one, hard to remember the name, but also two, it's like trying to identify someone. So it's like a super long input lag between like identifying them and
also the difference of how you look at work is different than how you look outside of work too. So that adds to it. And that's where the trial 1 comes from, of like Steven identifying which one is Simon and which one is this really bad guy.
Yes.
It's a guy with a cabinet full of cold cases. That's what the line is.
We've had like, that was the hardest line that we had to nail on the script.
Yeah.
Because one, we had to remove profanity so that it can appeal to a broader audience. But like with all the cursing in there, I feel like it had like a stronger impact. But then of course we had to abide by the contest rules, as well as we want for people to see this more. So if we added profanity,
And also it's like, like how do you objectively describe a bad guy? Like, if we're approaching this with the idea of, disability in mind, like, even calling someone a psychopath is really unfair for people who deal with psychopathic tendencies, because they're dealing with things out that they cannot even control.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, it was really hard. Like, how do you describe a bad guy? It's really, really hard sometimes because, there's so many like complex dynamics behind people and their behaviors.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to continue the part of the movie, you'll see Steven like just pulling the trigger, and like it's almost as if he's not looking, because he can't really see.
Yeah.
Like he can't really identify. So hopefully some viewers can see that he wasn't even looking. His eyes are closed, or he's like his head is bowed down. And this scene was really powerful for us because we shot Nevitz, our actor is Doug Baker, who's really, really talented, from a low angle. So you'll really see that there's an established power. And Steven from a high angle saying that Steven's like begging for his mercy. Like, please tell me good news. Please tell me that I've saved my best friend.
And then, yeah, we established this in our rehearsal blocking. You know, he puts his hand down, and it's just a simple, like, it's almost like empathetic almost coming from him, which is weird because he's also this crazy, like, you know, back and forth. He goes back and forth being your buddy, but then also being the worst person in the world.
Yes.
And, yeah.
So from there, he didn't, like, aside from it being really convenient for us to be within the 5-minute period, it's also like we decided for Neves to jump in right from the second. He just gives him 1 second to feel what he's feeling, but think about like the next challenge right away. So he jumped to the next challenge right away. And on that, like, I feel like that just emulates what your mental processes think. Like, okay, that problem is solved, or like, okay, I feel that. But then what your brain does, and we all hate it attacks you with the next challenge right away.
Yeah.
And that challenge is putting the thread through the needle. And we started with Nevitz slamming a silver tin can, because we really want to give homage to Squid Games. So,
Yeah.
Oh, you're familiar with that?
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, he's doing Squid Games.
You pull out the needle, like, oh, this is definitely Squid Game.
And then you can just, and then the up close, like,
Yes.
because I was actually wondering, is like, okay, obviously we all know that's hard to do to begin with, right? But the close up was really good because, like, from an audience perspective, you can see it can go in.
Yeah.
Yes.
It can go in, but there's so much going on that makes you miss every single time. You can see it's big enough, you can fit it.
Yeah.
But then there's so much going on that it was impossible. Even though the audience like,
come on,
just lick it real quick. Just, you know.
I had to lick that string like about 20 times on set, and it was like, by the time I was like, this is starting to taste funky.
Yeah, we're like, we actually forgot to cut that string off. So big props to our prop masters, Gail and Jerry Newton, for helping us with everything.
Sorry about your string.
That's for, I think that's for her crocheting.
Oh,
yeah.
Probably.
But yeah, that gives homage to Squid Games, a show that we really love. And as Asians, we really love the representation and the amount of impact that it spread across the world. Because, like, I feel like, especially for a movie or a TV show that doesn't really, or wasn't created in the English language, and the fact that it was able to resonate with millions of people across the globe is really really amazing. So we really want to give homage to Squid Games. That's why I literally ordered that can from Amazon. Like when we figured out that we wanted the thread and needle, and I was like, babe, this has to be in the movie. We need to put this in the movie. And but yeah, so we started with the thread and needle challenge. Steven actually thought of that because the first one's really easy, because that's one that challenge really started. It gives you a big impact, and it started really high. And with the next challenge, we want to sustain that level of interest for audiences, but we were having a hard time trying to figure out what can be an easy task for visually normal people and what can be really difficult for him. So he thought of the thread and needle, and that what's at stake is his parents, because as Nevitz is like just shouting all these guilt trippy lines to him, I feel like that makes it difficult too. And we really want to show what's happening into Steven's brain when it comes to his parents.
Yeah, and it's also just like the common things I think about too with, you know, living with a disability. You're so dependent on other people, and you know, it's granted, like, there's people who are doing it because they love you and they care about you and they don't want you to feel bad about it. But the thing is, like, you still feel bad about it. You still feel guilty to ask. And there's a lot of things you want, but there's only a few things that you can ask for help on because you don't want to overextend your grace. So all those lines that, you know, that Nevitz is shouting at me are literally like lines that I've thought about, you know, throughout my whole life. Where it's like,
and what lines that actually your parents did. Like I think the first one was,
your mom used up all your vacation time just to take you to your doctors, which she had to take me to doctors so many times, like, you know, from an infant all the way to when I was a young adult. And then also my dad literally, like, when the doctors first diagnosed my right eye with being going blind, like, my dad, who speaks very little English, you know, as an immigrant, asked the doctor, like, you know, can you trade my eye? Just take mine and give it to him. And, you know, and that always resonated with me throughout my life. And, you know, like, just the selfless love that, you know, a parent can give to their kids.
And to expand on the thread and needle part, I don't know about you guys, but I come from a Mexican background, and the mom always had a thread and needle that they could fix something real quick. So that was very symbolic there, because that's the connection.
That's the parent love right there. And the fact that Steven's mom, even up to this point, when we go to Sacramento,
she has a sewing machine and everything.
Yeah, and we were like, Mom, can you cut my pants?
My pants a little.
Yeah, it's funny. So I know we're 56 minutes in.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Okay, cool.
So and one, you're on your lunch break, which I appreciate.
No problem. I appreciate this.
So first, where can people find your content? Because I know it's just released, so you're trying to get as many views as possible.
Yes.
And the second question is, how many views have you got so far? Just out of curiosity. So let people know where they can find it.
I'll look at the data. I'll let my marketing person here talk about the distribution.
Well, thank you so much for, of course, highlighting that we actually need views and likes from everyone. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm sorry, not Twitter. Let me say that again. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube, and we also have an Instagram page. So our videos are now available, or our film is now available for streaming on YouTube. So we actually created a bit.ly link for everyone for easier reference too. So it's bit.ly/2080film YT. So that's how you can go to our YouTube film. And on Facebook, you can find it on our Facebook page too, because we share everything every day all at once. Just kidding. We share it on Facebook. So if you just look up on Facebook 2080 film,
there's a -20-80
slash
thank you.
/80 film. And also, we would really love to encourage everyone to watch the other entries too, because I think over 200 people
there's a lot
have submitted their entries, and they really put their time and effort to making this challenge and making it their own, basically. So they have different stories, they have different characters,
different perspectives and backgrounds and things that they will need to share as well from their experiences.
And all you have to do is go to Disability Film Challenge. So Disability Film Challenge on Instagram, and I think on Facebook it's Easter Seals Disability Challenge. So with the numbers that we currently have,
I couldn't find it. My stuff didn't load right now, but I remember from last night or a few nights ago, I think we're roughly around 4,000 views right now on Facebook at least. And
that's
then
awesome.
YouTube, we're around sitting under 600. So,
yes.
Like the goal is really for our self-interest, and, I want to really promote for our team and our story, at least, engagements, comments, likes, shares, views, those all really help us. And we really feel like this message is good for everyone, anyone who is ever dealing with struggle in their lives, and who needs that. If you know someone who's dealing with struggle, like, this is a great film to just really put those thoughts down into a visual thing. I kind of put myself as sacrifice my emotions and everything just so I can hopefully help someone else out there.
And it's just a 5-minute film. It's a free film. Everyone can watch it. And if you liked it, we really encourage for you to give a like on the video, comment what you feel, and even tag and share it to people that you think will understand and relate to it too.
And yeah, like we said, please make sure you guys also check out all the other films out there. There's a lot of great talent out there, and everyone deserves love. At the end of the day, the ultimate win is really just promoting this community and just helping people understand people with disabilities a little bit better.
And to go back to the awareness drive that we're doing, so part of the challenge is having an awareness drive or campaign for everyone's film. So this will run from April 12th to 21st. And from there, they'll collect all the views, all the likes, all the share, all the publicity that we've been gathering for this film and tally it all up. And whoever gets the highest publicity will win a special category.
So let me get this straight. Let's say I make a social media clip of this podcast episode, post it, and that hopefully will transition people over to the movie or to the film. Do they count the social media clips promoting the movie, or has to be views of the film itself?
It has to be views of
It has to be, but we'll definitely collect all of the posts that we can get and add it to because they gave us a form to collect all of the social media, press, and other publicity that we've gathered throughout that April 12th to 21st period.
But if you make a clip, I'd love to, if you're down, we'll give you a link that you can kind of add to the description, perhaps.
Absolutely.
And we'd love to share. We'll promote that out,
Yes.
like crazy.
Tag us as a collaborator.
So we can also share.
I'll make sure I do that.
Yeah.
One of the things, one more question.
Sure.
After the 21st, is it still available to be viewed?
Yes.
Okay.
So, basing from the previous years too, they just leave it to the page. They just leave it for everybody to see. Yeah. And so even if they can't make it on the 21st, if you're watching it beyond that, please still try and find time to watch our film. We really spent so much time and heart into it.
Yeah.
And it would just really be amazing if we can touch one more heart through the film that we've created in 5 days.
We're not asking for anything in return, no donations, no anything.
No.
Just a little bit of your time to, to absorb this energy that we've really put out into the world. That's all we ask.
And I think everybody can afford 5 minutes to go on YouTube. Stop watching. Was it Last of Us?
Well, I mean that's a pretty good one too. So it's kind of hard to compete. But
I want to end this with an idea, and then we can talk about it after we're done. But that's why the reason I was asking is it still up after the 21st is because maybe you guys want to do some sort of critiquing show.
Yeah.
Of all of the 200 episodes. Can you imagine putting that out there?
Oh, for sure. I don't know if I could do other critiquing other people's stuff. I'd be more than happy to critique our work.
Okay.
We can pick it apart and say what we could improve on.
Or a watch party thing or something like that. Because, I say after the 21st because obviously I want you guys to get as much views as possible before, But everybody should watch all of it. I'm just thinking how cool would it be to you guys support each other that way where you just sit down and watch and then, I don't know, in real time, watch your face, react to whatever they're doing.
That's what we actually did on the 12th. Oh, really? Oh, sorry. Yeah, when they released on the 12th, it was supposed to be released at 6 p.m., but they uploaded a little bit early. But then we still wanted to, of course, give those who have been waiting for our film at 6 p.m. That chance to premiere it that time so everyone can see. But that's what we have been doing. Steven and I spent
10 a.m.
10 a.m. to 5:45 before we started posting on our pages
for our movie,
just watching the other films. And we can definitely send you those that we think that are really placed their A games, but everyone really put their efforts the best that they can and shared their story using their own way, and everyone just put their A game, and we're just really proud to be part of an amazing films that have been submitted this year, because I feel like people have leveled up their game coming from last year's entries.
And I just want to acknowledge people come from all sorts of different skill levels for the film challenge. There's people who are shooting things on iPhones and or GoPros, and that's the thing. It doesn't have to have expensive gear. It doesn't have to have expensive crazy good techniques. At the end of the day, you just have to have a really good story. Your audio could be just blown out and just totally gone, and your video could be overexposed or anything. But if you have a good story, Like that's all that really takes for you to have a compelling like film, like a good story, a good message. And there's quite a lot of good ones that we actually really like that come from all different backgrounds.
Well, that's awesome. And I gotta go back and watch yours again because now that we talked about it a little bit more, I'm like, oh, did I miss this or that?
Right.
So
we didn't complete the whole commentary, so maybe next time when we do our own, like, because we're planning to do a watch party this Saturday, just to have that final push before the 21st, so that we can have that wave of viewers and shares on the film
before the total close off of the campaign.
Yeah.
But yeah, like one favorite one that we definitely want you to notice is the Everything Everywhere reference that we did, where Steven bounced from the optometry office to the Montana Cliff. Optometry office, warehouse, and to the Montana Cliff, because that was, well, surprisingly easy because we had an amazing script supervisor who's always like shifting Steven's necklace, hair, glasses.
Yeah.
But that for us really made the movie. And I feel like, because like we really had trouble conveying, because it's all about showing and not telling, that all of those three, I call it dimensions, is just the full Steven. And yeah, I can't wait for you to watch it again. Let us know what you think now that you have a little bit more background on like our thought process on everything.
Oh yeah, now I'm definitely gonna go in it with a little bit different perspective and then have my notes later. But
for sure, I'd love to hear everything, any questions you may have. Like,
and we're planning to remaster it and spread it out to all of the film festivals that we can.
So we're coming to Slow Film Festival coming
next
up
year.
Next year,
not this year.
No, we're submitting in July to be in 2026's Slow Film Festival.
Okay,
and then also
Cinemalaya in the Philippines, and just finding all outlets that we can share this, all the distribution channels that we can find to share this film that we really worked hard on. So watch out.
We're coming in. We're coming.
Well, thank you guys for stopping by.
For sure.
This episode will be live as soon as possible.
So
just let me know what to put in the description. Because I usually put, like, I was joined by Steven and Bettina, and then I'll add your guys' like handles and stuff like that. But if there's anything more specific you want me to put, just let me know.
I'll let Bettina handles all the marketing stuff, so she'll probably be messaging you. But no, thanks, Miguel. Thanks for having us here, at your studio and here at Paso Robles podcast studio. And I really appreciate the chance to just talk more about it. It's been really great.
Yeah, we really want to bank on our local talents to reach our local audiences, because we're from like a relatively small town, small county, but then there's a lot of talents that we have over here, lots of stories that we want to share and we want to highlight, because we're often overlooked by our neighboring cities.
Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento.
Well, I think Paso is going to be bigger for every single thing, right?
Yes.
Well, obviously, wine was one of the big ones, agriculture, but everything else is starting to like slowly build up, and I think everybody's going to start migrating towards the middle. We just have to be ready for it.
I know. Start buying your houses now.
Oh my goodness.
No, you should have started buying it 10 years ago.
When you were in 5th grade. What were you doing?
Before you had credit,
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you,
Thank you, Miguel. We appreciate you.